So, Kenny, you're here from the St Andrews Play Club. Tell us a bit about the club.
St Andrews Play Club is a community drama group that has been in St Andrews since the early 1930s. It was the founding group of the Byre Theatre, and it has been going pretty much continuously since then. Now, of course, we don't have the same relationship with the Byre Theatre that we used to, but we still exist as a community theatre group, sure. And we still produce plays and perform in various places, including the Byre.
Yeah. Very good. And you're going to be putting on a play with us, So You Think You Know Your History. Tell us a wee bit about it.
So You Think You Know Your History is an inaccurate history of main historical events in St Andrews past. I wrote it as a series of comedic sketches linked by a guide and a student, and also through songs.
Who wrote those?
I wrote the words and mostly, and Dan Rayner, a very talented individual, wrote the music from scratch. Yes, very talented. Yes, and it will be performed in the museum garden, and it covers how St Andrews got its name, how golf was developed. John Knox, who is a very famous figure in St Andrews history, and also the relationship between the townsfolk and the university.
The play's meant to be a historically inaccurate account of St Andrews.
That's right.
So, well, why did you choose to make it so?
Well, I think it made me laugh, basically, to imagine the main events that everybody knows about, who knows anything about the history of St Andrews, trying to imagine those events in a different way. And when you start to think about it from the townspeople's perspective, there's a lot more scope for comedy there. Plus, after the last couple of years when we haven't had any live theatre, we haven't been able to do anything really, I thought it would be quite good to bring something light-hearted and a bit of humour into people's lives, and made me laugh. So,
well, that's always a good thing, isn't it?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're laughing still, then that's a good sign.
I am still laughing.
That's good. So, I mean, what was your objective in the process of writing the actual play itself? Would you say?
My main objective when I wrote it was to relieve the boredom of lockdown. It was really to give me something to do.
Yeah.
But it did actually come from a discussion I had with your curator here. I came in one day to film, it was about the history of the harbour area, and I did a piece which was based on a newspaper article and went up on your YouTube site. And in the process of a conversation around doing that, I'd floated the idea of sketches about key events in St Andrews history, and your curator at the time said, that sounds like a great idea, why don't you go and do it?
Yeah.
Next thing I know, we're doing it, and we're booked to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I better go and write it then. So having written something already, I thought, well, I need to go and develop that. So
sure.
It came about through a mixture of conversations and ideas, and basically wanting to relieve the boredom of lockdown.
Oh, well, I mean, it's an admirable goal.
I think so too.
So what was the hardest part of putting on this play?
The hardest part, well, casting a play is always tricky, because you want to get people that are, as close to the characters as possible.
Yeah.
You can't always do that in community drama, because you've basically got the people that have come along, and that's what you've got to work with. We're very fortunate in the Play Club. We do have a membership of very able and experienced actors, as well as people who are perfectly happy to be working behind the scenes, because you do need people to do sound and light and props and all the rest of it. So we're very, very fortunate. But probably the very hardest part, if you want to put it that way, was when I realised that I was going to have to write songs.
Yeah.
I hadn't anticipated when I started on this project that there would be songs in it.
Yeah.
When it was put to me that it would be good if there were songs in it, I thought, well, it would be good if there were songs on it, but where are we going to get those songs? And then somebody said, well, you're going to have to write them. So I did. I had a go at writing some words. Not being musical, I couldn't write the music.
Sure.
But I could say the kind of spirit of the song, if you like, or the kind of mood of the song.
Yeah.
And then I was put in touch with Den Rayner, who I kind of knew, but who's an extremely talented musician and has written original music over quite a long time. And he said, oh yes, no problem, send me the words, and I'll see what I can do. And lo and behold, we have 5 songs.
Brilliant.
Original songs, and I'm very pleased with them, very, very pleased with them. I think they're actually quite good songs. Not just, funny kind of comedy songs for, for a short play. But so that was probably the hardest part, was writing the words for the songs.
Sure.
But having done it, it's actually probably one of the most satisfying parts.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, you made reference to the cast a moment ago. So did they have much of an impact on the process itself, would you say?
Not so much the actual writing of it, although I did send the kind of draft script as it developed to my friend and play club colleague Alan Tricker, who has a very good eye and ear for these things, and he cast his eye over them and said, yeah, I think that would work, or what about that, or I'm not sure about that, you need to write a bit more about that.
Yeah.
And he also offered his tuppence worth in terms of, here's an idea of why don't you incorporate that, which I did 100%.
Yeah.
So he did influence the writing, and he also contributed to the writing. Once the script was drafted, the kind of final draft, it was then we had a couple of readings with the play club members who wanted to be involved in it. And so then you're hearing it read out loud, and that obviously influences the way you kind of hear the words, and you realise then that some things are not going to work the way you thought they might, or they're a bit long-winded and they don't need to be that way. You know what I mean? So
you fine-tune it.
You kind of fine-tune it, exactly, and so there was a bit of fine-tuning went on. Since we've got into the rehearsal room, there hasn't been that much change to the actual words. It's more come about through the way the actors have developed the characters.
Sure.
And they've maybe not been exactly the way I saw them, but I would say 100% of the time they're better than the way I saw them, so leave them to the actors to get on with it.
Well, it's always what you want for the characters to
Absolutely.
be getting better as time goes on.
Absolutely.
So why did you choose to partner with the Trust again?
Well, we've always enjoyed performing here. Trust have always been very welcoming, so it's good for us to perform in different venues. As you'll appreciate, it's quite different from performing in a formal theatre.
Yeah, definitely.
The audience are right there, so it's really in your face, which is great. It's great fun. You get immediate feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. But we also recognise that St Andrews Preservation Trust, particularly Museum and Garden, from our perspective, play a very important part in St Andrews' life, and we're happy to support the museum with fundraising like this, and also expanding the range of activities that take place, and hopefully bringing new people in to the museum to see what goes on here. So come along to St Andrews Preservation Trust Museum and Garden and see So You Think You Know Your History. It's on between June the 9th and the 11th. It's only £10 a ticket. Get your tickets now because they are selling fast, and you get a glass of wine at the end of it.